Pioneering Places is our project. We will be choosing an artist who will use our research to help them come up with an artwork for Ramsgate Harbour.
Pioneering Places is a place where you can express yourself and make people feel welcome with art.
It's a project where the children are put in charge.
You have the freedom to design what you want.
We will be making the place we live in better with art and culture.
I think if a child's leading, then it's better because child thinks of imaginative things.
And creative.
I would want it to be a place where adults and children can have fun no matter what age they're at.
We were at the Turner Contemporary and there was a time machine at the back and there were 16 artists there, and we had to go into the time machine and picture our own imaginary scene, and we had to choose who we wanted to work with.
We looked at all the different artists' artwork, and it was fun because it was what we wanted, not what any adults wanted.
I sort of felt like a little bit confused because I didn't know which one to pick because they sounded so really kind and nice.
We would like to present to everyone our chosen artist, Conrad Shawcross.
We chose Conrad because we found his artwork, explored it and chose what we wanted him to create.
I think he's a really good artist.
Turner Contemporary is a place where you can do your art and you can be yourself, and I think it's quite special to be in something big that's happening.
Being at Turner Contemporary was definitely better than being at school because you got to really express your artwork and kind of find your own style with art.
We started doing activities to get us thinking about the projects.
I like the memory where we had to make our own classrooms using cardboard, and we made buildings or items and stuff.
We did this to see if we could design our own mini structures for Ramsgate.
I remember doing Play-Doh on a massive map, and I made this lady and she looked really wonky. I remember the takeover day, and it was really fun because there was an activity that everyone was joining in, and we could work in partners and we could just let our imaginations go wild.
I felt powerful because nobody in my house let me do what I want to do, but now when I was telling the artist what to draw, it felt like my brain just exploded.
The Pleasure Arm Art is a location at Ramsgate. It used to be pillars, but they're now building it into flats, I think. What we did there was we had different coloured bits of string, and we got to wrap it around the pillars that were in the area.
It showed me how we can make a place beautiful with art.
We went to London Array. We learned how wind turbines work and
Help electricity.
what the workers have to do. They're quite similar to what we're going to make with Conrad's because we're making the same sort of structure. It has the same purpose, except ours will read a message.
We were in an old church. There was lots of words which some children had to hold up. It was when one person comes up and shows a word, you had to put up your hand and see who likes it the most.
It's a code on these windmills which spells out home, so it's showing that wherever you go, there's still a home in Ramsgate.
It will make people think that this town is welcoming because it says home.
It's supposed to be for sailors to see, and if sailors see that, they might think of their home.
I would want them to say wow, and I would want them to think that the people that designed it and made it were very imaginative and very good at designing.
It's basically really good because we came up with the idea, and we've come this far, even though COVID, but that hasn't stopped us from keeping working, just trying to find the right place. Basically, we just haven't given up.
Our art Artwork is going on Ramsgate seafront.
It was so exciting originally to be given the brief. I had a different demographic, it was a bunch of school children, and it was really nice to actually just have a lot of fun. I was very much in the zone of trying to communicate and learn with children. We went through lots of different sort of ideas of what Ramsgate meant to the kids, and there was this sort of universal feeling that this was a port and everyone would predominantly arrive by sea. And there was this idea that we wanted to cast this message out to sea, so that was really a really instrumental part with the children led on.
So basically, all you have to do, you grab it on, and then you turn it clockwise, and then the windmill should spin. And this spells out home, which is wonderful.
They're so colourful. It brings joy to my eyes when I see colours.
I think it's just a great creation, and it adds another part to Ramsgate.
I think Ramsgate is a really great place for these sculptures to be there because they're awesome.
So these pieces are really in response to the sky, they're in response to fun, so things to do with optics and mechanics. They look at the history of maritime communication, the huge challenges of how ships would communicate with each other and how the land would communicate with the ships.
I got to see that art is not just painting on a canvas, but it can also be sculpting.
We now know more about people in our class.
Yeah, it's given us more time to communicate with each other.
Freedom to speak and say your ideas.
If you're going to start pioneering places, to always remember to be yourself, and that it doesn't matter if you've done loads of art or you haven't done barely any.
You can combine other people's ideas together to create the best artwork you've ever made.
Be creative and have fun.
Boom.